We live in a world inevitably headed for decay. The law of entropy means that disorder in our universe is ever increasing, irreversibly tearing structures apart until everything that exists or ever has existed will be utterly lost. How do we live in a world like that? Do we keep searching for meaning, knowing we may never find it? Or do we give up? The concept of entropy may be new, but the question of where we find meaning certainly isn't. It's actually the central concern of the Bible book of Ecclesiastes, written sometime in the first millennium BC in the ancient Near East. The author of Ecclesiastes identifies himself with King Solomon, the most successful ruler in Israel's history. This guy has it all: wealth that was the envy of the nations, wisdom like no one else who'd ever lived, wives coming out of his ears. And yet, he looks around him at all the world has to offer, and all he can say is that it's meaningless, utterly meaningless. The Hebrew word he uses means breath or vapour, the mist when you can see your breath in the air on a cold day that lingers for a moment and then it's gone. That's your life according to Ecclesiastes, a fleeting mist that lingers for a moment and then is swept away. Everything ends, everything decays, and no justice is done. It's bleak. No wonder that as humans we long to know that futility and entropy and decay don't have the last word. But at the end of Ecclesiastes, after 12 chapters of searching, the author is right back where he began. Meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. And yet, in his very final words, there's a tiny whisper of hope. This is how Ecclesiastes ends. Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. Do you see what that changes? If there's a God who is outside of the universe, who sees and remembers and will call to account everything that happens on this earth, then what we do in this life matters. And if that God isn't governed by the laws of entropy, if he could step in and bring order out of chaos and even reverse entropy, well, then maybe there's hope for our world after all. Now, I know that sounds impossible. It seems to contradict the very laws of nature to say that entropy could be reversed. But just imagine with me for a second that there is a God outside of time and space who made everything, who wrote the very laws of physics. Then surely he'd be allowed to rewrite them if he chose to. That's still a huge claim. To take that idea seriously, we'd need some evidence, proof of concept, something we can look to and extrapolate out and say, well, if that smaller thing could be possible, maybe the big thing could be possible too. That's exactly what we have in the resurrection of Jesus Christ, an event recorded in history where God stepped in, reversed decay, turned death into life. Around 33 AD, according to history books written by people who were really there, a Jewish guy claiming to be the Son of God was executed on a Roman cross. And 3 days later, he was alive again and seen by hundreds of eyewitnesses. At this unique moment in history, entropy worked backwards. And if God can do it once, what's to stop him doing it again? That's the heart of Christian faith and the answer to our search for meaning, that the entropy-defying God who raised Jesus from the dead is still at work today and holds out that same resurrection life to you and me. Maybe that sounds totally crazy to you, but I think you probably already live like it's true. None of us live like what we do has no meaning. If you do happen to be a fully fledged, lived out nihilist, I have a lot of respect for you. You've succeeded where many, many before you have failed. But we all live as if what we do matters, as if human lives have real value and our experience has real meaning. In a world where futility, entropy and decay have the last word, that makes no sense. But in a world where God has the last word, and the last word is life, that makes a whole load of sense. So what are you going to do? Keep searching? Give up? Or come to Jesus and find the hope, meaning and life that is only found in him? It's your call.